All right, so we're diving into something pretty crucial today for all you sales and revenue leaders out there.
Absolutely.
We're talking about optimizing sales pipelines and specifically using HubSpot CRM deal stages to really make that happen.
Yeah, HubSpot's a powerful tool, and we're going to break down how to make it work for you.
I'm Ron,
And I'm Nova.
and we've both seen firsthand how teams can struggle with getting their CRM to actually work for them.
hmm
Like instead of forcing their processes into the software.
Right. It's got to be the other way around.
Exactly. And that's what we're tackling today.
Yeah, aligning your CRM with your real sales process, particularly within HubSpot.
And that's where these deal stages come in.
Yeah,
We're going to really get into the nitty-gritty of how to use them to not just improve your sales performance, but also gain much better clarity as sales leaders.
because when you have that clarity, it makes decision making so much easier.
Right. You're not flying blind anymore. And the stats back this up.
Yeah.
Teams that use these role-structured deal stages, they can see close rates jump by almost 30%.
Yeah, that's huge. I mean, that right there should be enough to make any sales leader pay attention.
Totally. So, Nova, let's start with the basics. What exactly are these HubSpot deal stages, and why should our listeners care so much about them?
Okay, so think of deal stages as like signposts along your customer's buying journey. They mark the key steps a lead goes through.
So like milestones.
Exactly. And in HubSpot, visually, these stages appear as like swim lanes. It's a really clear way to see it.
I've seen those. Yeah, you have your new leads, then maybe meeting scheduled, then proposal sent, and eventually, hopefully, closed one.
Exactly. It's all laid out right there for you.
Okay, so visually it's helpful, but what about for me as a sales leader? Why do I need these
Well,
stages?
think about it this way. Without clear deal stages, your overview of your sales process is kind of murky.
You don't really know where things stand.
Right, but with deal stages, it's like you have a roadmap for your entire team. Everyone knows the steps they need to take, and they can prioritize their activities way more effectively.
So it's about being proactive instead of reactive.
Exactly, and it's not just about individual reps knowing what to do next. You as a leader get this instant visibility into your entire pipeline.
Oh, I see. Like I can see where all my leads are at any given moment.
Exactly, and you can see the potential revenue attached to each stage. You can identify any bottlenecks that are slowing things down.
So I can make better decisions based on real-time data.
Exactly, and that's not all, because this bird's eye view also helps you with forecasting and revenue management.
Okay, how so?
Well, with clearly defined stages, you can track your progress towards your targets, you can understand the health of your pipeline, and get much more accurate insights into future revenue.
So it's all about predictability.
Yes, ultimately, it's about driving those close rates up and having a more reliable sales engine.
Okay, I'm sold on the why. Now let's get into the how. So for someone new to HubSpot or who hasn't really optimized this area, how do they actually set up these deal stages?
It's actually pretty straightforward. The initial setup is very intuitive.
Okay,
First, you'll log into your HubSpot account, and you're going to click on that little gear icon to go to your settings.
settings, got it.
Then in the left sidebar menu, you'll see Objects, and you click on Deals.
Objects, then deals.
Right from there, you click on Pipelines, and you can either edit an existing pipeline if you already have one, or create a brand new one by clicking on Create Pipeline and giving it a name that makes sense for your process.
Okay, makes sense. So once I'm in the pipeline settings,
Mm.
how do I actually add and customize the individual stages within that pipeline?
So at the bottom of the dashboard, you'll see a button that says Plus Add a Deal Stage. You
Oh,
can click on that, and you can name each stage to reflect your specific sales process.
so the key step for me is, let's say, giving a product demo. I'd create a stage called Demo Scheduled or something like that.
Exactly. And here's a crucial part. For each stage, you set the deal probability.
Deal probability.
Yes, and you express it as a percentage. So like 10%, 20%, whatever's realistic.
Why is that important?
That's how HubSpot calculates its forecasts. So the more accurate your probabilities are, the more reliable your forecasts will be.
Got it. So don't just guess those numbers.
Right. And you can also reorder the stages very easily just by dragging and dropping them.
Okay, and I remember seeing something about customizing properties for each stage. What's that all about?
That's really important for maintaining data quality. So if you hover over a deal stage you've created and click on Edit Properties, you can choose which fields your salespeople have to fill out when a deal enters that stage.
Oh, that's smart. So like for the proposal send stage, I might require the salesperson to enter the proposal value and the expected close date.
Exactly. That way you make sure you have the essential information to track progress and forecast accurately.
So the right data at the right time.
Precisely.
Okay, so we've covered the mechanics of setting it up, and now beyond that, what are some guiding principles for designing truly effective deal stages?
Well, HubSpot actually recommends a framework called CLOSE. It's really helpful for evaluating and optimizing your pipeline.
CLOSE. Okay, I like it. Tell me more.
So the C stands for concise,
Concise.
meaning you should limit your stages to only the key milestones in the sales process. Don't turn every little internal task into a separate stage.
Right. I can see how that would get messy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So instead of having separate stages for each follow-up email you send, maybe have a broader nurturing stage.
Okay, so focus on those big shifts in the deal lifecycle.
Right. And the L in CLOSE stands for linear.
Linear.
Okay, this emphasizes that your pipeline should flow logically from left to right, just like a deal naturally progresses.
So it mirrors the real world.
Exactly. And this helps HubSpot provide you with contextual insights based on how deals are moving.
And what kind of stages should we avoid?
Avoid things that disrupt that linear flow, like a stage called on hold, that deals can get stuck in indefinitely.
Right, because that can really mess up your data and make it harder to see what's actually going on.
Exactly. And the O in CLOSE stands for objective,
Objective.
meaning your stages should be based on clear, measurable outcomes. So instead of a vague stage like interested, have a stage that's more specific like qualified lead meeting completed, something that actually happened.
Precisely that way, everyone on your team knows exactly what needs to happen for a deal to move forward.
And that helps with accurate forecasting as well.
Absolutely.
Onto the S, which is supported.
Supported this means making sure that each of your deal stages is backed up by clear processes, documentation, and the right tools.
So it's not just about the name of the stage, it's about what happens in that stage.
Right. So you need defined actions for your sales team to take at each stage. You need relevant deal properties to track key information, and you might even want to set up automation workflows that trigger when a deal moves to a specific stage.
Okay, so really thinking it through.
Yes. And finally, the E in CLOSE stands for engaged.
Engaged.
And this means designing your pipeline in a way that encourages consistent activity from your sales team.
So each stage should be prompting them to do something.
Exactly, whether it's scheduling a follow-up, preparing a proposal, or updating the CRM with the latest information.
Keep that momentum going.
Yes, prevent deals from just sitting there and stagnating.
I love that CLOSE framework. It's so practical. So now let's shift gears a bit and talk about teams that might already have HubSpot set up. What are some common mistakes you see them making with their deal stages?
Oh, I see this all the time. One of the biggest ones is creating too many deal stages.
Yes, we touched on that earlier with the concise principle.
Right. It's tempting to want to track every little thing, but it ends up creating way too much admin work for your team.
And it makes it harder to see the big picture.
Exactly. The focus shifts from selling to just constantly updating the CRM for every tiny task.
Yeah, that's not a good use of anyone's time. What else do you see?
Another very common mistake is assigning inaccurate deal probabilities.
Right, those percentages we talked about earlier.
Yes, if those aren't based on realistic historical data or a clear understanding of the current deal status, your revenue forecasts are going to be way off.
And that can have a ripple effect on decisions and resource allocation.
Absolutely. It can really mess things up. And one more very important mistake to avoid is not consistently updating the CRM data.
So even if you have the stages set up correctly, if the information in them isn't accurate, it's still a problem.
Huge problem. If deals aren't moved through the stages in a timely manner, your entire pipeline becomes this distorted picture of reality.
And all those fancy reports and automation features in HubSpot, they become useless.
Exactly. It's garbage in, garbage out.
So accuracy and consistency are key. Okay, so for those listening who are ready to take their HubSpot pipeline to the next level, what are some actionable ways they can optimize it using HubSpot's features?
Well, HubSpot's got some great tools for this. First of all, leverage automation as much as possible.
Automation, how?
You can set up workflows that trigger certain actions automatically, like sending reminders to your team, updating deal properties, or creating follow-up tasks when a deal moves to a specific stage.
So it takes a lot of the manual work off our plates?
Exactly. And another key optimization tactic is to regularly review and refine your deal stages.
So they're not set in stone.
No, your initial setup is just a starting point. You need to analyze your sales cycle, identify stages that aren't really giving you valuable insights, and don't be afraid to merge similar stages or even eliminate some altogether.
So less can be more.
Absolutely. The goal is to have a lean, effective pipeline that truly reflects how your team sells.
Constant improvement. And one final tip for optimization.
Yes, absolutely. Utilize HubSpot's reporting and analytics to the fullest.
Okay.
Track key metrics like the average time deal spent in each stage, the conversion rates between stages, your win-loss ratios, all that good stuff.
So basically look for patterns and trends.
Exactly. That data will show you where the bottlenecks are in your process and where you have opportunities to improve things.
Can you give an example?
Sure, let's say you notice a big drop-off in deals between your proposal sent stage and your closed won stage.
Okay.
That's a red flag that tells you something needs to be looked at. Maybe your proposals need work, maybe your follow-up strategy isn't effective enough.
Interesting. So it gives you specific areas to focus on.
Exactly.
This has been so insightful, Nova. To wrap it up for our listeners, what are the key takeaways they should really be focusing on here?
All right, so the big picture takeaway is this: optimizing your HubSpot deal stages is absolutely crucial if you want to create a predictable and efficient sales pipeline that helps you close more deals.
Makes sense.
And remember, map out your actual sales process before you even touch HubSpot. Don't try to shoehorn your process into the software.
Start with your reality and then configure HubSpot to match.
Exactly, and use that CLOSE framework we talked about. It's a really great guide for making sure your deal stages are effective.
And don't fall into those common traps like having too many stages or forgetting to update your CRM data.
Right, those mistakes can really sabotage your efforts. And finally, use all those amazing automation and reporting features. HubSpot has to constantly refine your pipeline.
Okay, so it's an ongoing process.
Absolutely, you're always optimizing.
I love it. So for our sales and revenue leaders who are listening here are a few immediate actions you can take. First, schedule some time to review your current HubSpot deal stage setup. Does it actually reflect how your team sells today?
Yes. Good one. And second, assess your pipeline against that CLOSE framework we discussed. Are there areas where you can simplify things, clarify things, or better support your stages?
Great. And third, dive into your HubSpot reports. Look for any obvious bottlenecks or areas where deals seem to be getting stuck.
And here's a final thought to leave you with, considering everything we've talked about today. What is one small adjustment you could make to your HubSpot deal stages that you think would have the biggest positive impact on your team's results in the coming months?
Ooh, that's a good one.
Yeah, take that question back to your team and really explore it.
Excellent advice as always. Nova, thanks for joining me for this deep dive.
My pleasure.
We'll catch everyone next time with more actionable insights to help you lead and grow your businesses.
See you then.
All right, that's a wrap.
Take care. Bye.